I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to tell you is the kind of story that changes the way you see the people closest to you. I walked into my office on an ordinary Monday morning, expecting nothing more than a standard corporate grind. But by the time the afternoon sun hit my desk, everything I thought I knew about my life, my career, and my marriage was gone. And what I found out next, most people can't even bring themselves to say out loud. Before we go deeper into this story, take a second and hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and let us know where you're watching from. I'm curious to know how far these stories travel. Welcome back to Family Secrets and Revenge. My name is Ethan Vance. For 7 years, I gave my soul to a high-end logistics firm in downtown Chicago, working my way up to senior operations manager. I thought I was building a legacy, a stable future for my wife, Vanessa. We had been married for 4 years, living in a beautiful suburban home. I believed we were a team. Vanessa was elegant, supportive, and fiercely ambitious, or so she made me think. She frequently visited my office, bringing lunch and charming my staff. She knew everyone, including my closest associate, Marcus Cole. Marcus wasn't just a coworker. He was the man I personally trained. I advocated for his promotions, shared my strategies with him, and considered him a true confidant. When Marcus went through a rough patch in his personal life, I invited him over for dinners. Vanessa always played the perfect hostess, laughing at his jokes and listening intently to his career goals. Looking back, the signs were there, buried beneath a layer of calculated normalcy. I was too blinded by loyalty to notice the subtle glances across my own dining room table. The illusion shattered on a rainy afternoon. Marcus was out of the office pitching to a major regional client, and I needed an archive file from his secondary corporate laptop, the one he kept docked at his desk. Because I was his direct supervisor, I had the override credentials to access his workstation. It was a routine, boring task. I logged in, bypassed the security prompts, and opened the local backup folder to retrieve the logistics manifest. What pulled up on his screen, however, had absolutely nothing to do with corporate supply chains. An automated cloud sync folder had opened in the background, displaying hundreds of organized media files. The thumbnail previews immediately caught my eye because the woman in them was wearing a distinct emerald necklace, the exact one I bought Vanessa for our last anniversary. My chest tightened, a cold sweat breaking out across my neck. I clicked open the primary folder. There, documented across 2 full years of digital history, was a comprehensive timeline of my wife's absolute betrayal with my trusted coworker. The depth of the deception was staggering. There were weekend hotel receipts from trips Vanessa told me were for her interior design seminars. There were explicit, deeply affectionate messages detailing how they laughed at my work ethic, calling me an oblivious workaholic who provided the perfect funding for their secret life. They had used my late nights at the office, nights spent securing bonuses to pay off our mortgage, to turn my own home into their playground. The betrayal was absolute, cold, and entirely without remorse. I sat in that empty cubicle for a long time, the hum of the office fluorescent lights sounding like a distant buzz. The anger didn't arrive instantly. It started as a profound, freezing numbness. They hadn't just broken my trust. They had actively, systematically mocked my existence for 24 months. I copied the entire data payload onto a secure, encrypted flash drive, safely logging out of Marcus's machine without leaving a trace. Walking back to my office, I knew an emotional confrontation would solve nothing. They wanted a game. I was going to give them an ending. My first move was investigating the corporate underpinnings. As senior manager, I had deep access to our operational audits. If Marcus was comfortable stealing my wife, he was likely comfortable cutting corners elsewhere. I began a meticulous, late-night review of Marcus's accounts, specifically looking at his shipping vendor allocations. It didn't take long to find the rot. Marcus had been inflating vendor invoices for the past 18 months, routing the excess margins into a shell consultancy firm registered under Vanessa's maiden name. They weren't just betraying me emotionally. They were actively robbing my employer to fund their future together. They were planning to build a life using my company's stolen capital, expecting me to take the fall when the compliance audits eventually triggered an alarm. The sheer arrogance of their scheme gave me the perfect weapon. I compiled the financial data into a comprehensive, unassailable forensic audit package. Every double invoice, every fraudulent wire transfer, and every digital signature was laid out perfectly. Before we go deeper, I would love to hear your point of view. Tell me what part hit you the hardest in my story, and share your thoughts in the comments. Watching them interact after discovering the truth was pure psychological torture. But I forced myself to remain completely stoic. That evening, Vanessa served dinner with the same sweet smile she always used. She asked how Marcus was doing at work. I looked her dead in the eye and told her Marcus was doing exceptionally well, and that big changes were coming for both of them. She simply smiled and poured more wine. The twist in their little game, however, was that I wasn't just going to hand this file over to HR and let them walk away with a clean termination. If I did that, they would simply find jobs elsewhere, sue for wrongful dismissal, or slip away with the stolen cash. I needed their downfall to be absolute, legal, and public. I quietly contacted our regional director and the corporate legal counsel, scheduling an emergency compliance review on a Friday afternoon, the exact time Marcus and Vanessa planned to celebrate his upcoming quarterly bonus. On Friday morning, I sent Vanessa an invitation to join us at the office for a special departmental celebration luncheon, claiming Marcus was receiving a major commendation. She eagerly accepted, arriving in her finest dress, radiating pride. Marcus was glowing, sitting at the head of the conference room table. The regional director, our chief legal officer, and two representatives from the corporate fraud division walked in, locking the heavy glass doors behind them. The celebratory mood instantly vanished from the room. I stood up, clicked the projector on, and displayed the first slide. It wasn't a quarterly revenue report. It was Vanessa's shell company registration document, side by side with Marcus's unauthorized vendor approvals. The color drained from Marcus's face so fast I thought he would pass out. Vanessa gasped, reaching for her purse, but our legal counsel calmly informed her that corporate security had already notified the local authorities, and their assets were being frozen pending a formal criminal investigation. Then came the final blow. I clicked to the next slide, displaying a curated selection of their personal messages, explicitly showing how they used corporate trips to facilitate their affair, and how Vanessa used her access to corporate events to coordinate the financial fraud. The entire room went completely silent. My superiors looked at them with pure disgust. Marcus tried to stammer an excuse, pointing a shaking finger at me, but the data was absolute. There was no defense against the truth. Within 30 minutes, the police arrived at the corporate headquarters. Because the embezzled amount crossed the threshold for grand larceny under state law, both Marcus and Vanessa were led out of the building in handcuffs in front of the entire corporate staff. The news of their arrest spread through the local industry like wildfire. A termination for fraud and corporate theft guarantees you will never hold a corporate title again. Their careers in logistics and design were completely, irrevocably finished. I filed for divorce that very afternoon, utilizing the criminal fraud conviction and the digital evidence to secure an absolute, uncontested judgment. The judge awarded me our suburban home, wiped out any claim Vanessa had to my retirement accounts, and ordered her to pay restitution to my firm. Marcus is currently serving a multi-year sentence in a state facility, while Vanessa is working 2 low-wage retail jobs just to pay off her mounting legal fees and court-ordered debts. They wanted to steal my life, my dignity, and my hard work while treating me like an oblivious fool. Instead, they handed me the exact tools needed to dismantle their entire world. Today, my department is thriving, my home is peaceful, and the empty space in my life has been filled with genuine, honest success. They learned the hardest way possible that when you try to build a life on betrayal and stolen time, the foundation will always crumble beneath your feet. Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end of this journey. Stories like this remind us how vital loyalty truly is, and how quickly deceptive actions can catch up to those who commit them. If you found this journey powerful, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment with your overall thoughts on how everything unfolded, and subscribe to Family Secrets and Revenge for more cinematic stories of justice. Your support means everything to this channel. Until next time, stay vigilant and